let's swap seats with Vanessa, um, who is going to be my fast friend. Hello, Vanessa.
Hello, how are you?
Thank you. I'm good. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I appreciate you jumping on board. I'm going to give just a quick little introduction, and then I'm going to let Vanessa take the reins and kind of give her professional version of this bio. So Vanessa and I are new fast friends, although I am very familiar with her company. I'm hyper intrigued with her take on the events world where we stand today and how companies are growing in this industry and in this environment. She does not come from a background in special events. So when we say cybersecurity, we do not often think catered event or wedding or those types of things. But that is where the cross comes with Vanessa. And what I love about that is that she has a very interesting lens into our industry and the things that are really working well for us and things that we might need to fine tune, and what those systems and processes might look like so that we actually can be positioned for growth. So I'm going to let Vanessa take the reins and introduce herself professionally, but that is why I am super jazzed to have her on board and spend some time talking with her right now.
Great. Thanks so much, Renee.
Mhm.
So I'm a director of product marketing here at Prism. You may know us as All Seated. We rebranded about a year ago, and I'll go into that a little bit later. But I've been doing product marketing for B2B SaaS software companies for over 12 years now. Um, like Renee said, in cybersecurity, I've worked in AI, I've worked at MarTech companies, and now I've landed here at Prism in like the hospitality tech industry. I've been here for just over a year. So like Renee said, very new, but loving it so far. And I'm excited to talk today. So um, Renee, I guess I can give a little bit of info about what we do at Prism.
Yes, please.
Yeah, so for those who are not familiar with what we do, we're a global leader in 3D spatial design and event planning technology. So what that really means is we bring everything and everyone together into one live visual workspace. So you can do your floor planning, build out your event floor plans, manage your guest lists, then collaborate with your customers on those floor plans or your events in a live dynamic 3D environment where customers can come in and comment, in the 3D version of your event and say, maybe I don't like this tablecloth, change the color, or this is the flow of the event space, and this is where the VIPs are, whatever really, is up to you. And then you can use that workspace to collaborate with your customers to like the run of show. And then another part of what we do with those 3D spaces is you can actually use those and build out virtual tours on your website. So, everyone knows like the Matterport tour where you go and scan through a room. So that's how we build our base. But what makes us special is you can put your dynamic layouts on top of that. So you can showcase, okay, here's our ballroom. This is what it looks like for a wedding. This is what it looks like for a conference or a training session or whatever. And your customers can see that before they even contact you. So that's what's really special about what we do at Prism.
I love this software, you guys. I was an all-seated original, so I could probably just do that entire pitch for you, Vanessa, because it really is. I will tell you this: when we put that into place, and I'll tell you my journey in laying out floor plans started with a room viewer. Anybody familiar with what feels like paint? That's how old that is, right?
MS
So
Paint.
so yeah, so old. It's like the little Microsoft Clippy guy. Like that's
Yeah.
how long ago that was. And when All Seated came into our lives, it aligned so much with our brand. So in the sense of we were the leaders in our space. We stood tall and proud in our city and in the state. And part of that meant that we were using tools that elevated our brand, right? So we were always going to be pushing the envelope and always looking at moments where how can we grow our brand by using tools that are new gen or pushing the envelope. And I would call them beta kind of. I mean, we were really moving at the initial phases of that, but we used it as a selling tool. As much as it was very much an effective, obviously, tool for us internally, we very much relied on that for sales. And so like I said, I think I could probably do that pitch for you all day long, but it is definitely something that I think aligns with, especially as we talk through, we've got a lot of caterers in the room. And I know floor plans you live and die by. And same thing with venues. I mean, that is critical for you. So those virtual maps are really important. And it allowed us to grab onto higher end clients because we were able to show them that we were moving above the grade, right? Like we
Yeah,
were
above like a
kind of advanced.
static drawing or
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah.
yes, yeah. And so it became one of those tools that we relied on as an extension of our own brand, if you will. So
Mhm.
certainly is something that I think is very valuable for people to understand that if you're looking at a moment where, hey, we really want to start increasing the events that we do. And I'm going to air quote the word luxury because I think it is unbelievably overused. But if you want to step above and kind of reach outside of the events that you are doing now and upgrade that clientele, you may need to take a look at what tools you're using to come alongside you. And so that is definitely a left lane from where I think we were going to take this conversation, but it's definitely relevant, I think, for the group. So, Vanessa, if there's some things that you could kind of give guidance on as people are looking in the situation now where, hey, we really want to focus on growth for our company and positioning ourselves and being ready for that. What are some of the things that you would say to people that want to achieve that goal within the next 12 months that you would say these are the things you need to focus on, or this is the one thing that you would focus on?
Yeah. I think if we're talking about, trying to rapidly grow and adopt change, we don't know what tomorrow is going to look like. Like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure this will be the topic of the entire conversation today is the
Yes.
economy and all of
Yep.
that. But
Mm-hmm.
I think making sure that you're automating in the places that make sense
Mm-hmm.
to help, increase your efficiency at your company, I think is really key. And what I mean by that is just thinking about like, what things are you doing day to day that aren't actually bringing any material value to your business? So, okay, creating floor plans is great, but that's like a really grindy thing if you're doing it like, by hand for everything. Can you
Mm-hmm.
automate that? Or even like maybe your record keeping is still kind of dated and you're still working in Excel spreadsheets. Like, where are there places where you could be automating and try to figure out like what tools that you can implement that can kind of help you take the burden of that off so you can spend more time doing things that will leave a bigger impact on your business. And like for hospitality, like building relationships, as we know, is probably like one of the biggest things you really should be focusing on now, because that's where you're going to stand out. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
to me, it's all about automation to focus on in like the next 12 months. And that can help fill gaps where like maybe there's a reduction in force or you can't hire anybody else or whatever it is. Like that can
Mm-hmm.
help kind of augment the missing gaps in your company.
That I know that sit back for me was like, yep, that's a key point for everyone to land there. And I think the word automation, I think, is scary for most people when they think like, what and what? And I'm not a tech person, and how am I going to do that? And where do you even start in the world? And you said Google Sheets, and I'm like, yeah, that's happening. I know, right? Like that is just you're running your inventory that way, or you're running your orders, even that you're living and dying by Google spreadsheets or whatever that may be. But I think if we want to take a look at how that could be used in the situation where we are at right now, I have when we started this morning, we had Marty come up and say, staffing is something that she's facing as a challenge. Staffing
Mhm.
is always something that we're facing that is a challenge, but how could we leverage in a situation where we're at now from the economy standpoint, uncertain, not really sure, got to make sure that we insulate with some of our money so we can't really pay to add somebody to the team, but we need to still make these changes. So connecting those two things together where the automations or the technology might be able to help you bridge that, I think is a really key point. Is there something that you would be able to speak to there or give some guidance on if you're just starting out with that, or if that resonates with you where you have some things you could take off of your plate and using technology to do so, where would you start?
Yeah, I think, I mean, I could talk a bit about our journey here at Prism, right? We've been, we came on scrappy little startup. We've been around, well, as All Seated and then Prism, for over 10 years now. And I think where you could start is just taking a step back and looking at every touch point you have with your customer, right? That's a data point. That's something that you can use to your advantage to make everything more streamlined and strategic and work better for you. And at the converse of that is like your customers have a better experience with your brand too. So think about like, okay, I have a website. What is that? What data can I be collecting from there about my customers? Maybe they fill out a form, right, to like learn more information about your company. You can use those to build out audience segments and then deliver content that mirrors their role. So don't just like blast out everything, like this, like one size does not fit all, right? It's great if you need to do something quickly, but we really believe here at Prism too, with our own marketing strategies that we do, is targeted, tailored segments to like the jobs that people have to do and delivering that content to them. Because when you're reaching out to everybody, you're nothing, you're nobody to everybody. But if you're one-on-one, you actually can mean something to them. And that to me is like one way that you can really use automation in your favor with things that you already have. If you're super brand new to, technology and trying to bring this on, that can seem very daunting, but there's a lot of like great tools, especially if you're a small, like medium business, that are so easy. You don't like nowadays, you don't need to know how to code. You don't need to know how to do any of that stuff really to set up automations and bring in your data. You might need a little bit of technical prowess to like connect everything, but once you're there, like it's almost set it and forget it really. Like tools, like I know like MailChimp is great for like small, medium business. We use HubSpot here, which is a little bit of a higher tier full service that connects to your CRM and things like that. But you really don't need a lot of technical expertise once you have the data in the door. So that's what I would recommend, is just kind of take a step back and say like, okay, where's our data? What are we looking at? Like what can we use to our advantage to make, to bring more customers in, to generate more leads? Because like we're all going to need them moving forward, right? So like how can I do better and try to step away from the mass marketing mindset of marketing to just everybody in a big pool.
I often start people in that conversation because we get a lot of, at least I do, I get a lot of deer in the headlights when it's like, okay, let's start talking about automation and CRMs. And they're like, whoa, I'm just over here emailing out of Gmail. And so the starting point for me with that is where we want to end up, right? Like what goal do we have? We want to be able to segment our emails or whatever that may be. So starting there and then walking yourself backwards. Well, what am I going to need to be able to do to make that happen? I need this platform, or maybe you don't even know. And so connecting with somebody that's going to be able to help you to get that across the finish line. And you're talking to a room that may not be tech savvy. I for sure did not start in the lane of being able to be tech savvy, but Google and YouTube teach you a lot. And so if you could just ask your questions about how you, what things might be able to help you move forward with putting automation into your life. And I think even just taking it a step even higher than that, what are the things that you need to get off your plate? What are the things that would save you time in your day? Just start there. Just start writing those things down and finding out whether there might be a way to automate some of those tasks, even if you don't know what that means, even if you don't know how to go about doing that. And then, if there's not somebody you or on your team that can handle that, maybe taking a look at, Upworks. Is there somebody that you can connect with that would be able to help you make some of those things happen? If
That's
you're
how
going
I
to
connected with Prism. They found me on Upwork. I was a contractor, and then they brought me on full time. So the people are out there.
They are, and I think even if that isn't the path, if you step into a company where you're like, if you are, Cynthia's name is right in front of my face. So Cynthia, I don't know you, your camera's not on, but I'm going to use your name as the example. So if Cynthia is not a Prism client right now, but she decides that she wants to make that step, but she has no idea what that means or how to make the tech jump into there. Ask if there's support or ways for people to help. And I think you'll be in a far better place to be able to put those things into motion and implement them.
I think, that's a really good point, Renee. And that was something that I did, as you were talking, that like sprung an idea in my head or a thought in my head that like, a lot of like here at Prism and at a lot of companies, like we will be your strategic partner in planning, like what happens. You're not alone. Like there, I mean, with, like you said, with the internet, there's like a ton of resources. Like we have tutorials, we have like onboarding tracks, other companies do
Mhm.
too, especially a lot of those marketing automation tools. Like you could just spend all day doing that. Like that's how I taught,
Mhm.
like we use Webflow to host and build our website. And I didn't know Webflow. I looked at the tutorials and figured it out, right? So
Mhm.
it's really, I think, like leaning in on those relationships that you have at those companies. They're willing to help you and guide you through these things. You're not alone in the journey, because
Mhm.
especially as you said, if you're going from pen and paper or just a Google spreadsheet to trying to like bring that into a system and then how do I use it? It can be scary, but I think the upfront work when you start onboarding and integrating your systems is worth it in the long run, because then you'll be like, how did I ever do it this way? Right? Like,
Yeah.
did I survive? Right? So I think taking that first step it could be daunting, but I think there's people there to help you, as you said.
Yeah. And I think starting the small little things that you can put in place now just
Mhm.
stack,
Mhm.
and it just allows you to be able to grow faster and make moves quicker and to be able to scale at speed if you have the foundational things in place to take off the grind work as much as you can. That doesn't mean it's always going to go away. It's just not, it just is what it is, right? That's life. But if you can find ways to just work a little bit smarter over here and a little bit smarter over there, especially this is a big one for me in sales and marketing. It live and die by your automations and the systems that support you in sales and marketing. Obviously, yes, operations, it all plays through, but for me, that's where the biggest changes that we put into place that allowed us to be able to accept growth and to scale and to take on higher end clients and really move were when we were really dialed in on our systems and our processes and started taking off the monotony of little things from our sales team. And that allowed them to just run faster, which was great. Is there something that internally, as Prism has taken the all seated brand and rebranded and kind of gone through that transition, are there things that you could speak to, especially on the marketing side, that you have done as a company to be able to, again, kind of take on and insulate the acquisition and the transition and then still grow?
Sure. We were never acquired. We just rebranded.
Oh, well,
So still the
sorry, I'm
same
using
people.
big words.
That's
I'm
okay.
using
That's
big
okay. I
words.
just want to be clear because there was some confusion when we rebranded. But we
Good,
were
that's good to know.
and this is maybe could be a good topic too. We rebranded because we felt like the all seated brand was too rooted in just the floor planning, like
Mm-hmm.
seeing guests at a wedding. And we're really more than that. Like a Prism, we have two M's at the end of our at the end of our name, and that's supposed to signify digital twin, which is a digital 3D copy of your space, right? So it aligns
Uh-huh.
more with like your vision, like our vision as a company and where we want to move. And I
Yeah.
think that's something to think about too. Like you don't want to be left behind, right? And I think like
Mm-hmm.
here, through the rebrand, I mean, for us, I kind of already talked about it. The big thing we did was automate more of those journeys. Like that is literally
Mm-hmm.
like we hired a person to help us do our marketing operations, and we worked with her. She's still here with us, and to like kind of manage all of those journeys. Like, what does that look
Mm-hmm.
like from like soup to nuts, right?
Sure.
That's something that we really have been focusing on and will continue to focus on as we move into different
Mm-hmm.
verticals, different job titles, things like that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
for us, I think something that we think a lot about right now, and again, is also a big buzzword, hot topic, is AI. And AI can be really scary because everybody kind of like automation. I mean, me being in tech for 12 years, people have been saying they've been doing automation for the last 12 years since I've started in product marketing. So it's kind of been a term that you hear all the time. Everybody does.
Yep.
What does it mean? Same with AI. Everybody does that or say they do it. What does it mean? Right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
for us, we're trying to think about ways like how can AI really shape the, the events industry? Like we've already
Mm-hmm.
seen some of those like AI like dynamic pricing agents that can help like they'll monitor, the traffic, the seasonality, try to throw out a dynamic price based on, occupancy and all these other factors, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing that we've been seeing in like the market. We don't do that, but like we've seen that in the event
Mm-hmm.
industry. Um, for us, we're really looking at how can AI help you be creative. It's not all about automation, right? It's like, how can it help you be more creative? Show you the possibilities of what's there, what's in your existing venue spaces, or like that you have to work with or that you own as a venue, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're working on something really cool right now that well, like you could give it a prompt, like say, oh, create a hip mid-century conference setup, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it'll return like 3 different options of what that could look like with like different furniture options and things like that to help you get inspired and like showcase that to your customers. Imagine if you could just jump on a call and just show them that immediately without having to plan or build anything. Like, wow,
Mm-hmm.
talk about time saved. Like you're done. Like,
No kidding.
you don't even have to worry about it. Like it's already there. So we're working on like rolling that out soon. Just really thinking of ways like for us to make AI accessible for everybody. It doesn't have to be scary. You don't really need to know all the crazy algorithm things. Like,
Mm-hmm.
come on, you could type a prompt what you want. Like, I want a pretty pink wedding. Like, cool. Like there it goes. Right.
Blush
So
and bashful. Anybody get it?
exactly.
Thank you. These are my people.
Exactly. So I think yeah, it's just that those are kind of the ways like we're thinking in our company right now, like for our customers and for ourselves, like how can we best automate and use AI to move
How
forward.
do you use AI? How do you use it personally? What is your
I
relationship
use
like
it.
that with that?
I love it for research. I think AI is really great when you're kind of stuck or you want to know more context about something. Granted, I'm a product marketer, so my role is a little bit different for a tech company. So I'm all like interested in the technology and things like that. But learning about competitors, learning like sometimes you could be like, oh, give me different ideas for, a presentation or something. You can't take the ideas, they're not good to like if you show it to someone they would be like what is this, but it's a good thought starter, it's a good like spark, right, like to get you started. That's how I like to use AI, is to really just kind of spark that creativity in like my mind to like get going with something if I'm stuck.
Can you give, and this is super on the spot, and we didn't talk about this ahead of time, so sorry in advance. And so we can maybe give this round one, and then if you can fine tune it, we can go at it, and I'll share it to the crew after the summit. But if you could give a prompt that would give insights on your competitor, so this is Chat GPT, or where are you at, and what does that prompt look like?
Sure. For me, Chat GPT is probably the best. I think, oh my gosh, I forget what the Google one is called, but I've used the Google one before too. I think it's,
Mm,
oh my gosh.
Gemini.
Yes. That's embarrassing.
It's okay.
Like it's
It's
something.
just the way.
But yeah. So for that, I like to tailor my prompts around like the use case I'm trying to figure out, right? So for me, if it's like, okay, um, find me information on X competitor in the event industry for sales, for sales event or event sales people in North
Mm-hmm.
America, right? And it'll return something. And usually the thing with AI is you kind of have to keep asking it. Usually the answer
Mm-hmm.
of it isn't going to be the one that like you'll get
Yeah.
some good nuggets of information, but you really want to ask it again, like, okay, then fine tune it, to companies, like fine tune their functionality to just 3D. Like, what are they doing in 3D? Right. So, like, just
Mm-hmm.
keep asking and prompting and training it because especially if you have a membership and you're logged in, it'll
Mm-hmm.
learn from what you're doing. So every time you come back, it, which is kind of creepy, already knows what already
Yeah.
researched, already has the previous results. So it can use that to build better results in the future, right? So constantly, like, we call it fine tuning in AI, like fine tune like what you're looking for
Mm-hmm.
as you're giving them these prompts. So like the more specific, I think starting at a 10,000-foot view is great, and then just kind of going deeper and deeper to really get to like the information you want will really help
Mm-hmm.
not only get better answers and intelligence, but also
Right.
um, you know, more relevant to like what you're looking for. I will say
Mm-hmm.
though, with AI, always take things with a grain of salt because they're not always accurate, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's combing the web for a bunch of things. So there might be things that are
Mm-hmm.
old on the web that aren't correct about a competitor. There might be things that are not up that you don't know about, right? So it's always something to augment, never replace. Like you never use AI to
Hmm.
replace anything. I think that's really key, and that's something that like my own personal value that I truly believe in is like AI is here to help augment teams do more with less, not do less with less. People are
Yeah.
scared it's going to take their job. I don't think, maybe eventually, I don't know, but like not tomorrow, right? Like it's not there yet. It's helping you be more efficient, save time, like we were talking about with automation. Same thing. That's what really AI is there for. So
I just would love to know, and will people just drop a Y in the chat? Are you using ChatGPT or some type of AI currently in your business anywhere?
um
Melissa? Yes.
do
Okay. Just am curious.
are we using it like
No, I'm just
as a
attendees. What? Yeah, attendees wise. I want to know, like, in the room, are
you
you?
guys
You're
using
sorry. Yes.
it?
Are you guys using it? Um, I'm
Awesome.
curious, and it's starting to trickle in. Yes, a few yeses. I love talking about this. Yes, me too. This is where you could lose me for the rest of the month, probably talking about this. I was one of those people that I had no idea what I was doing with it, but I knew I wanted to figure it out. And what you were saying, Vanessa, was really key for me to understand is that the more I got conversational with it, the
Mhm.
better things got back to me, and giving it a direction that I needed it to take. I need you to think like or act like a this and then do a this really helped me to kind of drill in those responses and then just back and forth and back and forth with the conversation. Um, my, my, the next speaker who's supposed to be on in 4 minutes is literally calling me right now. So
Oh,
I'm wondering if he is going to be able to. Alex, if you can hear me, if you can jump anywhere into trying to connect with Michael, I'm going to shoot him a quick text as well. So, Vanessa, give me just a few minutes of your time talking to the audience of takeaways, things that if you're, you only have one thing that you would tell them to focus on for the year, what would that be?
automate.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah.
just look at the efficient or where you can have more efficiencies in your company, because everyone's going to have to operate more lean. That's just the reality of the situation today. How can you make your job easier? Because, you're probably going to have way more responsibilities now because there's so much more on everybody's plate. How can you make up that with automation or maybe using AI, or, where are those spots that can help you fill in those gaps in staffing or maybe skill or whatever, or even make you more strategic and smarter about the way you're doing things, because that can also improve your bottom line too, right? So really look at where those, again, like we talked about earlier, each touch point your customers are interacting with you is an opportunity really for you to either automate that or become more efficient or target better. So that would be really my 2 cents there.
Is that what Prism is focusing on internally as well? As
Always.
you,
Always.
yeah.
Yeah. It's a never ending journey, right? How can we how can we automate things? How can we be more strategic in the way we target our customers? What messaging resonates with different buyers, right? Because a
Mm-hmm.
planner is a lot different than an event sales manager, and what they like are two different things. How do we cater that to each of those audiences? Even though the product is the same, the product doesn't change. It's the same product. What is special to the event sales manager? What's special to the event planner, right? Breaking that out makes it so much easier for people to understand what you do,
Mm,
and makes those conversations more fluid and easier too. So
yeah. Is there something that you are super excited about for the year for yourself personally? You just obviously, as we look through company growth for you yourself, what are the things that you're like, this is what I'm jazzed, I'm tackling this and I'm totally in.
yeah. For us, it's actually expanding beyond hospitality.
Mm,
We've been, our bread and butter has been in like hotels and wedding venues and things like that, and it will always remain to be that. But,
mhm,
we've been talking to some companies, like some stadiums, like how can 3D
mm,
work in stadiums? It's not hospitality. It's kind of an adjacent, arena,
mhm,
but like, that's really exciting to me. So it's like, oh, cool. All the things like for me, it's like, oh gosh, and stadiums, we can show like where they could put their sponsored ads and things like that. Like that's what
Mhm.
really makes me excited as a product marketer because I'm a nerd.
Mhm.
So for me, like that's what like
Resident nerds.
yeah. Expanding into different verticals like that is really cool to me. So
Mhm.
that's where I'm excited, to go in the next couple months. So
Very cool. And I
yeah.
think that's inspiring for everybody to kind of take the lens of, yes, this might be your bread and butter, no pun intended, caterers, but what can you maybe look as a expansion for the business, and where are the areas where you might be able to nudge into. Charlton and I, who he's on tomorrow, but he and I were talking, I think it was last week, could have been the week before, about an area where he was expanding some business that we did as well. So we'll talk through that tomorrow, but that is brilliant from the lens of, if you are wanting to grow, spend some time just daydreaming where you might want to play, and what would be needed to take you there. And I think that is a great way to kind of just expand on what you're currently doing. And it also is super fun, right? Like, so that's invigorating to you, Vanessa, and I'm sure it is to the rest of your team as well. So getting that kind of that good vibe for everybody as you look, to expand. What are some things that, just closing out, because we're gonna move to Michael now, but is there anything just that you would want to make sure that you have the opportunity to share with the crew?
Think so. I think like we've covered a lot of what I wanted to talk about today. AI, very near and dear to my heart. Automation, very near and dear.
Mhm.
One thing I didn't really talk about though is thinking about sustainability as well. That's something that's really top of mind for our company. And there's different ways you can go about thinking that really quickly. I mean, we have a ton of content about this already out there, but at Prism, we think about triple bottom line, which is people, planet, and profit. That's not a
Mm,
framework. It's more of a methodology of like, how can we impact people, our planet, and our profit through greener best practices and things like that. And not actually
mm,
greenwashing, like saying you do them, but actually do them.
mhm,
The more enterprise companies, they highlight like ESG, which are like actual guidelines you have to meet, and that's really scary. Triple bottom line
mhm,
is something that's like super easy for anybody to implement. It's just like what you dream of, and like how do you like put those things together to impact, your sustainable best practices, which then could bring in, other people in the like customers who care about those things,
mhm,
who care about
mhm.
those green initiatives, or your own company. You don't want to contribute to carbon emissions like Prism. We love like everything that we do is virtual, so you don't have to travel all the time and put all that out there. So that's something else that's really key and top of mind for us. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Charlton's in there saying edible spoons was just totally it. Michael, who's coming up next, is also going to be hot to trot on that topic. So
I love
maybe
it.
we'll have another day where we just talk through that. I foresee
Invite us back.
maybe
We could talk about
I know I
it.
foresee a different topic in the future, because I think that that's super important, and I love the triple bottom line. Like, just
Yeah.
that, just thinking through it and from that lens, that's super smart. So we will definitely have to roundtable and come back to that topic. But thank
Absolutely.
you, Vanessa, so
Thank
much for
you.
talking. Again, I think we could probably continue on and on and on, but that will come at another time. So
Yes.
thank you very much for joining us. Super excited to have you, and it was a pleasure. And also, we'll get back together to talk theme parks another time.
Of course. All right.
Thank you
Thanks,
so
everybody.
much. Have a great rest of your day. Okay, Alex, if you will, yes, thank you very much. And if you will bring me Michael, I'm excited to introduce Michael. I'm going to tell